Robert Bobby Thompson sat under the bridge with an empty tin can, listening to the sound of cars passing overhead. "This is our territory, old man," shouted gang leader Tyler "Tank" Miller, with 4 other men behind him. "Get lost, or you'll get hurt." Bobby didn't even lift his head, just clutched the old military tag on his chest. Nobody knew that on the back of that tag was written Medal of Honor, and that Robert Thompson had fought alone against 200 Taliban militants in Afghanistan's Battle of Kamdesh, saving the lives of 15 fellow soldiers. Not until these 5 men encountered the wrong veteran. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this tale of quiet honor, forgotten courage, and delayed justice, tell me in the comments where you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered. Hit that subscribe button and help us keep them alive. The underpass beneath I-75 on Detroit's south side was a refuge for the city's invisible people. Robert Thompson had been living here for 3 months. At 52, his hair had gone gray, and deep lines marked his weathered face. People would see him, feel sorry, and sometimes drop $1 or 2. Nobody knew who he really was. Bobby's story was complicated. 23 years of military service, 5 tours between Iraq and Afghanistan. In 2009, during the attack on Forward Operating Base Kamdesh in Afghanistan, Robert Thompson had made history. On the day 53 American soldiers fought against 300 Taliban militants, Bobby had single-handedly launched a counterattack. For 4 hours he'd battled more than 200 enemy fighters, saving the lives of 15 fellow soldiers. For this action, he'd been awarded the Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration. He'd received it from President Obama at the White House. But the war had destroyed Bobby from within. PTSD, alcohol problems, inability to adjust to civilian life. Slowly he'd lost everything. Home, family, dignity, eventually ending up under this bridge. That Friday night, the Steel Wolves MC arrived. Leader Tyler "Tank" Miller and his 4 men were trying to drive the homeless from the area. "This is our territory now," Tank shouted. $50 a week protection money or get out." Bobby remained calm. "I don't have money. I'll move somewhere else." Tank's buddy Derek noticed the military tag on Bobby's chest. "Tank, this guy's ex-military." "What war?" Tank mocked. "Iraq and Afghanistan. 23 years. Tank laughed. 23 years in the military and you end up homeless? What a loser. Something changed in Bobby's expression, but he stayed calm. "Military service isn't easy." "I fight every day here." Tank stepped closer. "And you're living like trash." His friends mocked Bobby. "America's hero." Bobby tried to leave, but Tank wouldn't let him. "You embarrassed us. Defend yourself." Tank's friend pushed Bobby. "Come on, hero." Bobby backed away. "I don't want to." Tank couldn't stand it and slapped Bobby across the face. "Where's your military training?" Something changed in Bobby's eyes. "Last warning. Leave here." "Or what?" Tank grinned. Bobby slowly turned over the tag on his chest. On the back was written Medal of Honor. Derek read it and froze. "Tank, that's a Medal of Honor. America's highest military decoration." Tank was shocked. "He's bluffing." Bobby pulled an old newspaper clipping from his pocket. Headline: Sergeant Robert Thompson receives Medal of Honor. Photo showed him with President Obama. 2009, Battle of Kamdesh, Bobby said. "I fought alone against 300 Taliban for 4 hours. Saved 15 of my brothers." All 5 men were in shock. "Now, I'm telling you one last time. Leave." Tank's voice came out shaky. You really have a Medal of Honor." "Yes, and you're attacking one of America's most decorated soldiers." Derek whispered to Tank, "Let's not mess with this guy." But Tank was too proud. "I don't care. You're homeless." Bobby's patience finally snapped. "You're wrong. I'm still an American soldier." Tank pulled out a knife. "I'm gonna cut you now." That's when Robert Thompson transformed from homeless man to Medal of Honor warrior. His movement was so fast Tank couldn't comprehend it. Bobby caught his wrist, made him drop the knife, and took him to the ground. "Nobody move," he shouted with command authority, "or your friend gets hurt." The 4 men froze. "I'm Sergeant Robert Thompson, Medal of Honor recipient. I fought 300 Taliban. You 5 are child's play to me." He leaned down to Tank. "You're going to leave here. You're never going to attack homeless people again. Because if I see you again, I'll do to you what I did to the Taliban in Afghanistan." Tank nodded frantically. Bobby released him. All 5 men ran away. The next day, the story appeared in the local paper. "Medal of Honor veteran stands up to gang." It went viral on social media. 2 days later, the Detroit VA hospital administrator visited Bobby. "Sergeant Thompson, we want to include you in our special program for Medal of Honor recipients. Housing, treatment, job opportunities." Bobby was surprised. "I don't deserve it." "Why not? You're an American hero." "Heroes don't become homeless. Heroes remain human, and humans sometimes need help." A month later, Bobby was living in a small but clean apartment. He was receiving PTSD therapy and participating in VA hospital programs. He was beginning to overcome his shame. 6 months later, he started working as a veteran counselor, helping other homeless veterans. "Your past doesn't define you," he told them. What you do today defines you. The area under the bridge was now declared a safe zone for veterans. Bobby's fight for dignity had changed not just himself, but the entire neighborhood. Tank and his gang? He'd long forgotten about them. What mattered wasn't the past, but the future. True heroism isn't in the medal, but in continuing to do what's right. Robert Thompson had proven this once again. During his first month as a counselor, Bobby encountered dozens of veterans living on Detroit's streets. Each had their own story of service and struggle. Some were Vietnam vets who'd never received proper recognition. Others were young soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan dealing with invisible wounds. Bobby's approach was simple. Respect first, help second. He never asked about their military service until they were ready to share. He'd learned that forcing someone to remember their past often did more harm than good. The VA program that Bobby joined became a model for other cities. His story inspired policy changes in how homeless veterans were treated. Instead of seeing them as failures, communities began recognizing them as heroes who needed support. Tank Miller, meanwhile, had spread the word throughout Detroit's underground about the crazy homeless vet with the Medal of Honor. The Steel Wolves MC quietly moved their operations to a different part of the city. Word traveled fast in criminal circles. Don't mess with the veterans under the I-75 bridge. 3 months after the confrontation, Bobby was invited to speak at a high school assembly about veteran issues. Standing before 300 teenagers, he wore his military dress uniform for the first time in years. The Medal of Honor hung around his neck, no longer hidden. "I'm not here to tell you war stories," he began. "I'm here to tell you that service doesn't end when you take off the uniform. Whether you serve in the military, in your community, or just by treating people with respect, service is what makes us human." A student raised her hand. "Mr. Thompson, were you scared when you were homeless?" Bobby thought for a moment. "Every day. But fear isn't the enemy. Giving up is." After the assembly, several students approached him. One young man, whose father was deployed overseas, thanked him for showing that veterans could overcome anything. That night, Bobby called Dr. Jennifer Martinez, his VA counselor. "I think I'm ready for the next step." "What's that, Bobby?" "I want to help design that new veteran housing project downtown. Make sure it's built right, by people who understand what we've been through." Dr. Martinez smiled. "I think that's exactly what this city needs." Robert "Bobby" Thompson never forgot that night under the bridge. Not because of the violence, but because it was the moment he remembered who he was. Not just a homeless man, not just a veteran, but a leader who still had something to give. The Medal of Honor around his neck wasn't just recognition for past heroism. It was a reminder that heroism is a choice you make every day. If you were in Bobby's position, how would you have protected your dignity? Have you ever misjudged someone based on appearances? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story of forgotten honor resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. Because at Human Stories, we believe that true heroism never really ends.